This probably wasn't the best place to record it due to all of the wind, but forgive me. It's such a beautiful day and I couldn't help but sit outside and just enjoy the breeze. We hope to entertain you, educate you, and really just connect. And today's guest is Dr. Aziza, who really delves into the mind, seeking help, the importance of a therapist, psychotherapist, and asking for help is a very human thing. We are social beings. We are social animals, and without each other, it's just a bland, sad life. So I hope you enjoy this episode.
How can you help people?
I think most people really just need a place where they can be themselves. And a lot of the times we go through things in life and we feel like no one really gets it. No one really understands what I'm going through. And a lot of our issues we can really work through them if there's just someone who can listen. And we feel like, okay, it's not just me who's going through this. And at the same time, if you're with someone who can actually tell you, okay, so this is where you are, and this is how you can go to where you want to go, and it's going to be fine. And I think the biggest element is just giving people hope. And I hope I do that. Yeah.
Do people think, how can you help me when you have your own problems?
Interestingly enough, people think I don't have problems, or most people think therapists don't have problems because they think we kind of have everything figured out. But it's really about not having problems. It's just I just know how to manage my problems, and it's okay. And it's not about how do I get rid of my problems, but how do I work through them well, and how do I live life well, so that even if I have problems, I can still be okay.
What kind of personal problems are hardest for you to manage?
It's a good question. I think not being so critical of myself.
Mm.
That's a struggle for me. Yeah.
Who should come to see you?
Oh, good question. I think if you don't feel like you understand what's going on in your life and you don't really know where you want to go and you kind of feel lost and you feel like your suffering does not have meaning, I think that's when I can step in and I can help. Because a lot of what I've gone through and a lot of what I've seen with my clients is you don't really get rid of the pain. You just give the pain meaning and people kind of take it from there. Yeah.
How often should people come see you?
That's a very common question, actually. I don't always tell people how often they should come and see me, but if I feel like someone is not able to, it's the word. If they're in a place where they feel like I really don't know what I need to do, please tell me what I need to do. Then I say, okay, come four times a month to start, and then we can kind of space it out. But mostly I always tell people just come when you feel like you need to come, because in the end of the day, if I tell someone you have to come not this time and you have to come this often and you have to work through things in this way, they usually feel like, oh, I don't want to. It feels too pressuring. And especially with therapy, it's a very sensitive place. So I like to give people their space, and they do come often and they do come regularly. And the ones that don't somehow still find a way to manage.
Nice. For those who can't afford therapy since insurance doesn't cover it, what can they do to seek help?
Well, first thing I would suggest is surround yourself with the right people. That's a big one, because a lot of the times it's the environment that we're in that really plays a big role. So surround yourself with the right people. The internet has a lot of great tools and ways for you to kind of figure things out on your own, especially if you're at a place where you really can't afford therapy and you can't afford to get that help. There's always a way. And so finding the right people and using the internet, connecting to new people. There are a lot of support groups around as well that I think people can benefit from, a lot of talks. But I'd start there.
How do we get comfortable with therapy?
Okay, so getting comfortable with therapy, there is no easy way to get comfortable with therapy. You just have to book a session and try it out, because regardless of who the person is, whether they are rich billionaires or they're normal people, therapy is scary. Even as a therapist, when I go to therapy and I sit on the opposite end of the chair, I'm scared. I'm terrified. So it really is something you have to put yourself in that place to kind of experience. And you try one session and you see how it goes. And if there's something that you're worried about, you can always ask your therapist all the questions that you have about therapy, about the process. And I always encourage people, when you've come in, first session is ask whatever you want to ask. Any concerns you have, anything that's worrying you, anything you don't understand, to have that open conversation. So I would suggest that first. For someone who does not want to go through therapy, what wants to take the first step, there's so many ways to start that. And again, it's different for every person depending on where they are mentally and how they're coping to start with. But I would start with understanding that in the midst of whatever it is that you're going through, understand that there's a reason for it, and you can find out what that reason is and make the most out of it. And eventually it's going to be okay. And then it's okay that it's confusing now, and to kind of just be okay where they are. Because when I'm not trying to fight out of where I am and I can accept where I am, I can see through all the trash and everything. And I'm like, okay, I can now relax and try to figure out what I can do, because I know that I'm going to come out of it eventually.
Why should people seek out a therapist?
It's a very difficult question to answer. Yeah.
It's an important one.
Yeah.
Because people sometimes don't know if they need help.
Yeah.
And they do. So who do you think should come see you?
I think if you sort of have an idea of who you are and how you want your life to be, yet somehow things are not working out for you in the way that you'd like, and there's something about you that you don't really genuinely understand, if you want to be able to live life that is full of meaning and a life where you're able to manage your problems well and deal with things well and achieve the things that you want to achieve to an extent, then I think people should come see me. Yeah.
Can life be perfect?
No, never, never. And I do want to say this. A lot of people come into therapy thinking that, I'm going to go to therapy to get rid of my problems. And then once I get rid of my problems, life will be great. You don't get rid of your problems. You will get other problems. Always. You always have issues. It's just that the way that I approach a problem, and I understand that in this issue, there's something that I will learn and something that I will grow from. So you don't approach the problem from a place of trying to get rid of it. You approach it from a place of trying to understand what it is. And then you can really extract the experience and the wisdom from that, and then you move forward. So then the next time you have a problem, you deal with it better. And this is sort of what life is. You grow through all these different experiences and challenges that you have. It's not about getting rid of them to live. You live through those, but then they now have meaning, and there's a reason why they happen. And when someone understands that, it really makes life not less painful, but less constricting, and you don't feel stuck and confused most of the time. So, yeah.
What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear? Cockroaches. No, joking.
That's a fear.
That is definitely a fear of mine.
That's fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah. I think my biggest fear is gonna take a minute to properly think about it, because I don't wanna. I know the word in Arabic, I just don't know it in English. It's in Arabic. أخاف أظلم أحد وأنا مقصدي. I don't know how to say it in English, but this is how it is. Some things we can't translate. But that is something that I wouldn't say I constantly worry about. It's not a constant fear that I have, but it's something that if I can't catch myself doing it, and if I accidentally do it, it scares me. Yeah. But if I do something without realizing. So as simple as, let's say someone, just a very small example, like let's say a friend does not speak to me for a while, and then I start thinking, oh, they don't care about me. But then maybe they're going through something. So I don't mean that particular example, but that kind of idea where not just in terms of actions, but in terms of thoughts and feelings towards life, people. Because I think I know what it feels like to be on the opposite end. And it's not a nice feeling. So I always try not to, I try to always be as understanding and as compassionate as I can because no one does things because they want to hurt anyone. People do things for, you would only want to hurt someone if you're so hurt yourself, you know? It doesn't come from a place of, well, depends. Sorry. But yeah, I do not want to be in a place where I hurt someone unintentionally without even realizing it, and I can't fix it. I mean, we will. We will, or even unintentionally, but as long as I can, remedy it and do something about it. But if it's,
Is there anything you can tell us about why you'd be the one we come see?
I always make my clients laugh. I use humor a lot, so it usually comes spontaneously, but I always make sure that my clients come in at some point in the session, they laugh, or at least they leave laughing. So that I can guarantee for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. There are a lot of difficult questions, by the way. I was like, oh, I need time to sit and think about it and meditate on my answers.